Guys, I'm in forest looking for some exciting images of birds. Let's just see what we can get. Hello everyone, welcome to a new video. So today I've got a lens that I more or less said I won't get. As many of you know, I've been critical of these f11 lenses. Now, granted, I did buy the 800mm f11 lens, but its minimum focus has always bothered me at 6 meters. It's not really usable when things come close to you, and that's the problem with that lens. So I decided to buy a lens that I've been sort of putting off buying for some time. So without further ado, let's unbox it. You get to see what's in the box. I'll talk briefly about it, and then we can have a bit of a chat about it. But without further ado, let's open it up. Now, disclaimer, this is a grey import. I've never had a problem buying grey imports. If you guys have ever checked my channel out, you'll see that I did a video talking about grey imports, and I also did a criticising video about the BBC. As we know, the BBC likes doing stupid things, and they basically insinuate that grey imports are fraudulent products. They're not. They're just from a different region. And then they had photographers on there saying, oh, I won't touch grey imports because the warranty's not valid. Duh, I think everyone knows that. But you do get a warranty from the seller. They normally say that if there's a problem with the lens, we will sort it out for you. So it's not normally a bit of a deal breaker, that. So let me just unbox the lens. Now, obviously, some people have criticised this lens, other people have said it's fantastic. It depends on your point of view. Now, it can retail in the UK for £2,300, or grey import it for about £1,500. So you're saving £800 getting a grey import. So it's up to you to make a decision if you think that saving is worth it. To me, I think the saving is worth it. But I've been wanting to get this lens because we know it's not as sharp as the 100 to 500 RF lens. However, it's not far off. And the only downside is it's not as heavily weather sealed, and it's missing some of the coatings on the front of the lens. So sometimes if you're photographing a branch, it might lose a tiny bit of detail compared to the 100 to 500. But to be honest with you guys, I don't think you're going to notice that unless you're a super professional who looks at the finest detail of every image they get. I think sometimes people become overly critical of quality of lenses to the point where they start pixel peeping the smallest aspect of what the lens can do. And I think we've become so blessed with the quality of lenses that we've become super critical. You know, if you had bought one of the old Sigma lenses 20 years ago, you know, with chromatic aberration being quite heavy and not being super sharp, you would have still said that lens was one of the sharpest lenses around, you know. So I think we've become too critical on how good lenses are. So let's take all this bubble wrap off, which there is a lot of. But I'm very thankful that the seller on eBay, there's lots of third-party sellers on there selling grey imports, has done a good job at protecting it. So what do we have? Well, need I say any more? Obviously you can see it here. This is the RF 6.3 to f9 IS-USM 200 to 800 RF lens. So the reason I went for this is because I've got the 800 RF lens, f11. Obviously f11 is darker than f9, and the minimum focus, really, I think it's 1.2 to about 3 meters thereabouts. the minimum focus, which is half the distance in terms of what the 800 f11 lenses can do. And incidentally, people talk about the f11 800 prime lens being quite sharp. It's sharp enough, but it's not as sharp as the Sigma's 150 to 600s. Some people will disagree with me on that, but I did have the RF 600 f11 lens, and I compared that to the 150 to 600 Sigma contemporary, and I can tell you for a fact that the Sigma is sharper, significantly sharper. You might not notice it as you know, a Joe Blogs everyday person who've got hold of the lens, but if you're someone that specialises in looking at fine detail in lenses, I would say that the Sigma was a bit sharper. So that's why I've decided to get this. So this is the 200 to 800, so this is a bit of a unboxing video as well, so you can get to see what's in the box. So let's just have a look what's in the box. We get some documentation. Let's throw that away because we don't need it. We have a plastic cover. We have the lens, which seems to be in another box, which you don't get with the cheaper f11 800 RF lens. A bit more plastic at the bottom, empty box, and that's essentially what we've got. So yes, now I did a video comparing the quality of the 100 to 500 because someone else had done lots of you know, other people have done content online, and I was comparing the two lenses, and what you'll find is the 100 to 500 is a tad bit sharper. It's more portable, obviously lets more light in at 7.1, but then again it doesn't go all the way up to 800. So I just wanted to do a bit of an unboxing and talk about the lens in more detail. So a bit more cardboard on the top. The lens there seems to be covered in plastic. We have a Canon strap. That's nice. Don't get that with the f11 lens. And then let's have a look. Now there has been some negative videos going around that if you drop this, it'll snap in half. But to be honest with you guys, you shouldn't be dropping the lens really, should you? So let's just put the lens down for a minute. So what do we have in the bag? Now inside the bag here we've got a black lens hood. It's just a basic lens hood, guys. It's nothing important or special about it because there's no felt in there. It's just like plastic, simple as that, nothing special. It just has some locking buttons on there, so you can lock it onto there. We have, I believe it's a 95mm filter cap, lens cap, sorry. So, if any of you guys own the Sigma 150 to 600 and you bought one of their special WR lens protectors, because they are slightly different to the UV filters, because the lens protectors are the same thing except they use tempered glass, which means if some impacts on those filters that Sigma sell, it won't shatter. Basically, it's like safety glass. You'll ruin your filter, but you know, your protector, but that's what it's designed for. They're expensive though, they're about £100, but that will fit on this because I've got one of those on the 800 RF lens, so it should fit on this. But let's continue with a bit of unboxing that we've got here. So obviously it extends, it doesn't extend internally. That is something that everyone's been criticising. So just a little thing about grey imports, guys. Obviously your warranty won't be valid in my country, the UK for example. I would have to send it to the retailer and they'd send it to Canon in Hong Kong for example, and they repair it and then send it back to me. But I've saved £800 by doing that. It's up to you to decide whether you think it's worth it. But warranties are not really worth it, guys. Warranties last between 1 and 2 years. I know Sigma do 3-year warranties and Tamron do the 5-year warranties. Unless you've got really long warranties like that, I think 1 year or 2-year warranties are not worth it. I really don't. Put your money in insurance. Insure your camera equipment. I've seen loads of videos of people having their cars broken into. There was a wildlife photographer, YouTuber, I can't remember his name, but he lost 30 grand in his car. Guys, get insurance. Insure your gear. You know, I remember someone on my Facebook group. I got a Facebook group called Canon Lenses and Cameras. Check it out if you want to. I'll put a link in the description box. But there was someone there who got mugged in France with his R5, brand new R5, worth what, 4 grand, and it got nicked and he was devastated and he was trying to share the serial number out to various people. Guys, get your equipment insured, please. Don't rely on warranties. Don't rely on people being nice to you in certain places. Make sure you insure your equipment, okay? You can get your equipment insured by your house insurer. I have my equipment insured by the insurance company that does the house insurance. You know, it costs you a bit more, yes, but it's well worth it. Guys, just make sure you get your camera equipment insured. In terms of weight, it's about 2 kilo. It's not too overly heavy compared to like the prime lenses that like weigh between 3 and 4 kilogram. It's quite lightweight and it's quite small. The reason I decided to go for this eventually was I just thought, as you get older, you get tired of lugging around heavy equipment, and I thought this is going to be lighter for me to carry around. So essentially, that's it. Let's put the lens hood on. You hear the click, clicks into place. Very similar to the JJC ones you can get. Obviously this is Canon. And obviously we've got a lens hood there, and we have a cap on the back. And it looks like there's plenty of room to put your extenders on. This is the big deal with the, also it's weather sealed. There's a weather sealing gasket on the back as well. But I just want to talk about the quality between the 100 to 500 versus this. There's not a lot of difference in it. Obviously there's a bit more weather sealing on the 100 to 500. And there's going to be a slightly improved image quality, but very slight. I think if I was to give you a percentage, I'd say 1%, maybe 1%, maybe 5% at most. You're not going to notice the difference, guys. So those are people who have been debating whether I should use a 100 to 500 with a 1.4 extender versus this. I don't think you're going to notice the difference. Now, I actually own the 100 to 500. I do have a 1.4 extender. And I can tell you something that bums me out a lot is the fact I can't zoom back beyond back to 100mm with the 1.4 on. I can only go to 300, and it's a bit of a bummer. That, and it really bugs me why Canon designed it like that. It's just silly. Why? I have no idea, because you've got the 100 to 400 Mark II EF lens that you could put the extenders on, no problem. So why they did this stupid design? Beyond my belief. I don't understand why, because everyone criticizes it for that reason. So people have been looking at other options like this lens, and yeah, it's light. The only downside to this, I would say, is the tripod mount don't come off, but it's not necessarily a bad idea. You know, the tripod mount can be handy to carry. You know, you can pivot your hand on there like that, and it gives you more stability. So I don't always think the tripod mount not being able to take it off is a big bit of a problem. Now obviously you've got your autofocus modes, autofocus manual, and obviously there's no manual focus ring on here, but you can make the extra ring that you can assign to other functions, and it's not clicked, which is a good thing, because then it would be quite annoying. You can assign the extra ring that you've got on there as your focus ring, so it's not a big deal. The only thing that sort of annoys me is you've got stabilizer on and off, and that's it. No stabilizer 1 or 2 modes. That allows you to control the axis going up and down and side to side, and helps with panning. So it's just basically stabilizer is put it on and it works, simple as that. So I guess it's simple really, isn't it? So essentially it's quite a good lens really. And look at it. I can put it on the table and it doesn't actually fall forward. Sometimes when you get a big lens like this, like the Sigma 150 to 600 lenses, they're quite front end heavy. So if I zoom it out, let's have a look. How does it feel? Well, it's a little heavy at the front, but not overly heavy. Yeah, it's not too bad. The only sticking point for most people is the aperture of f9 at 800mm. It is dark, and it's only slightly better than the f11. But with modern cameras having better ISOs, they're sort of managing that a bit better these days. But anyway, I thought I'd just do a bit of a chat about it. This isn't really an unboxing video, just a bit of a chat of the difference between why you would want to get this over the 100 to 500. And to be honest, the main reason is you can zoom all the way back to 200 even with an extender on, and I think that's a key benefit to it. Disadvantages: it's longer, it's a bit bigger, it's not as flexible. Personally, I think if you're going to carry two lenses around, you could have this and the 100 to 500 without the extender on, and have this with an extender on or on its own. It's completely up to you. For getting those long telephoto shots, and anything comes close, switch to 100 to 500. That's why a lot of people carry two camera bodies on them, you know. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hopefully you found this video informative, helpful. It's up to you to make your decision. But in terms of price, 1,500 grey import, it's not really a lot of money. I think I remember paying about 1,200 for the Sigma when that came out. So it's not that vastly different. However, if you buy it from the UK, you're going to be forking out £2,300, which is a bit of a sting for this lens, if I'm honest with you. I don't think it's really worth that. Now, I just wish Canon had brought out a 200 to 600 6.3 lens. I think everyone's wanted that for a long time. And I did a prediction video where they were going to bring that out in the EF range, where there was a patent in Japan for that, but that never happened. So it's a bit disappointing sometimes when Canon doesn't do the obvious and then comes out with something completely strange and bizarre. So 200 to 800, f6.3 to f9 we have here. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you in another video. Bye bye. Take care of yourself. Bye bye.